After 9 months, it's finally here. Finally see this on the car. Look here. What is going on, you guys, and welcome back to the channel. So about 10 minutes ago, good old UPS guy came by and dropped off this bad girl right here. So this is our intake manifold from Holley. This is our high rim. I'll go ahead and unbox it and show you guys what's going on. You guys have known we've been waiting for this for about 9 months now, which seems like a whole hell of a lot of time. Kind of is. It's been slowing down a few things, but we've been working around it. So now this is going to let us do our cold side, redo our hot side portion of it, like we mentioned before. Wiring, fuel, and intercooler setup can all be done now, which is super awesome. So now it's really exciting, and we can start getting things buttoned up to actually hear this thing make some noise. So it's gonna be really nice to actually finally do that. Still got some time ahead of us, but we're still gonna be making some pretty damn good progress now that we've got this. So we'll go ahead and unbox it and show you what we got. All right, after a long 9 months, we finally have ourselves our intake manifold. So there you go, guys. There you have it. Our Holley high rim black, or your black edition, whatever you want to call it. So now, like I was saying, now we can finish our fuel regulator lines. We can finish the fuel coming up and over, which is back there. It's tucked away right now, but injectors, fuel lines. I mean, we are going to be able to make some good progress on this bad girl now, which is super awesome, very exciting. Really glad that we opted out for the black. I think it looks pretty nice. So yeah, so if you feel this is pretty cool, just give me a second. I'll go ahead and slap the intercooler on and see how she looks. Got the intercooler back on the intake manifold, got everything torqued down. I mean, this thing is just so wild looking. It's so awesome to finally see this on the car. Look here. Look at that. That thing is a freaking monster, dude. This is so sick. We've been waiting for this for so long. So long. Oh, it's so nice. So, like I was saying earlier, now we can finish up our intercooler piping, I should say. Our intercooler hose or system, right? So we got our 90s on there. We're gonna do the driver's side outlet. We got our plugs on our passenger side. And like I was saying, fuel now, we can do our fuel lines from the fuel rails. We got our fuel regulator lines we gotta do. And then set of injectors, cold side, manipulate this a little bit. And then, yeah, I mean, the engine will be done. We will be done up here, other than wiring. Everything mechanically is done. All right, guys, so it's a few days later. Took a little time off for myself, but we are still back on the Camaro, and just wanted to show you, just get a little catch up on what I've gotten done since we put the intake manifold on. Just kind of mocked it up just to see where things are going to lay out and where we're going to put our turbo and whatnot like that. So I'll go ahead and show you that we got the fuel system from the fuel pump all the way back there. As you guys know, we got that all done. So we have our single 10 coming up into our dual 8s, and they go back to the fuel rails, and nothing's tight. Everything's still loose because, I mean, the intake manifold's loose. So our return has already been done. We did that a while ago because that was simple, easy, nice little straight fitting. So now what we're going to do is, this is the Motion Racework mount for this fuel regulator. So now we got to make our fittings from this side to this side, and then this side to that side. So we could go like this, you know, a nice little U shape, but it is going to be very small bend. So I'd rather just have a nice radius to it. That way there's no kinks or any problems with that down the road. So once I get these two lines made up, that means the fuel system will be 100%. Fuel system's done. We'll go ahead and move on to our intercooler system. So our dash 16, have to feed it back through there and under on this side. I don't know if I can kind of feed it through here, this little pocket down here. We'll see when we get there. But yeah, so we're going to be running on our fittings right here. We'll just have to figure out what's going to be the best solution to do that. All of these, as you guys know, we put little P-clamps and actually secured them to the frame and whatnot, kind of like the fuel stuff like that right there. So we put nutserts, you know, down to hold those in place. So I really don't want to take those off. I am able to cut AN line on the car, so I don't have to take it off to cut it or anything like that. It just makes it a lot more harder. So I'll give it a shot. I'll try to do it over here, and if I can't get it done, I'll go ahead and have to just pull the lines out and measure them, cut them, put the fittings on, put it back in the car. All right, well, we got everything buttoned up along with the fuel system and intercooler system. So we got our heat sleeve on, so we figured we'd put it on the pretty much the most important lines right there. So the fuel lines, these are protected now. Even the return has a nice piece of sleeve on it. That way it's just not rubbing on the back of the head or anything like that. So hopefully, you know, no fires or anything like that, trying to be safe as we can before we get this thing running. We got our Motion Raceworks fuel regulator kit up here up front. So this is using the Fregola line, which we have not used before. Went together pretty simple, so we'll see if it leaks or not. Probably shouldn't, but you never know. I will say one thing, it is kind of tough if you put a gauge here to get these lines to kind of be symmetrical. As you can see, the driver's side line is much higher just because it's got it clear, but this is still just a little bit loose. But as you guys know, we used their mount as well, and we had to space it out about 1/2 inch to clear the factory 4-port steam kit, which we also adapted to run a dash 4 AN line up to our water neck on our Merzier water pump. But yeah, so let's see. So fuel's done. Rails are just in, you know, mocked up for right now. Everything's just loose, just so we can kind of see how everything lays out. So we got our intercooler lines hooked up. They will come this way a little bit more, kind of like that. So they're you know, kind of toward the back of the head. Well, I guess they don't have to go really that far back, so maybe they'll sit right there. So yeah, this one I had to cut just a little bit shorter. This one actually was like perfect length. It's probably a little bit too long, but it's always good to have just a little bit of slack in case you need it, I guess. But yeah, so came up pretty good. And these are dash 16, so if you guys have ever assembled and line that big, you know it's quite the pain. So, and these are not PTFE, it's just rubber lines, so quite the pain. I don't really like assembling these big lines. Like the dash 20 was actually pretty simple. I'm not sure why, maybe it's just the brand of fitting, but the dash 16s, I had a really hard time on these two for sure, and also on both of these. So these are actually two different brands. This is actually I guess a mil spec. That's why this gap looks so big, which is actually supposed to be like that, surprisingly. It's kind of weird, but it is what it is. It's what we had. And this one is, I can't remember where this is from, but yeah, this one was a real pain. This one was all right. These two, super pain. This one, super easy. That one was super easy. So really feel like it just depends on the brand. The Fregola stuff went together super easy. The hot rod fuel stuff, probably the easiest PTFE line I've ever assembled in my life, which is pretty nice. So I definitely got props to those guys for making a quality AN line and quality fittings. So as you see, we got the fender mocked up right now, and as you guys know, this portion of the hot side, pretty much right here, we're gonna have to basically chop it off. I don't know if I want to chop it off here or go farther back. I might start small, and if we have to, we'll go farther back. But you know, this bend is not so bad just because it clears the tube right here. And also I think we can get a nice straight line right here, which would mean we didn't have to cut along the base of our flange. So we'll have to cut here, and then we'll have to rotate up. So we'll go ahead and get the turbo mocked up. Car's at full lock right now, so definitely don't want to, you know, mistake that. It's actually probably lower than it will ever sit. I think it might be. I think it's maxed out on the coilovers, but yeah, so it's sitting pretty low. So we'll have to trim this, take it off the mount, and go ahead and play with the turbo and see where it's going to land up. All right, well, I've been toying around with the turbo placement here in a little bit, but I feel like this is probably going to be the best spot right here. I know it kind of looks a little goofy. It'll stick out of the hood just a little bit, but there's two major things that we're trying to think of here, right? So we have obviously the outlet of the turbo, which would be really kind of a pain to run through here like we wanted to, because the throttle body sticks out super far. Now, we even looked at doing the Icon throttle body, the really flush one, and it sticks out about 6 inches with the 90 on it. Don't want to spend $1,000 on a throttle body just yet, I guess. That's kind of hard on the pocket, but we're going to try to make this work with what we already got. So we already have our throttle body, we're going to try to use it. We already have our turbo, we're going to try to use it. The only thing we're going to do is try to adapt the turbo kit to the turbo. That way it'll actually work, and you know, down the road, if we ever do, a version 2 or a new rendition, new turbo, new hot side, stuff like that, or maybe we'll do twins. I don't know. I have no idea what we're going to do with this car later in the road. We might go do twin turbo setup. Never know. But in the meantime, we're trying to figure out the most ideal spot for one, the inlet or the outlet of the turbo, the exhaust for one, the downpipe, and also clearing the tire. So as you guys can see, we're at full lock and we're hitting the mount. I mean, that's, no good, because we definitely run into the tire, and obviously we'd have no exhaust. So I was thinking something like this, right? It'll go above the radiator. The cold side will come up this way, right? We'll just do a nice straight piece, 90 into the throttle body, little 45 dump, and be done. So I think that'd be clean. I'm not going to worry about the cold side right now, because we have fiberglass hood that we can cut up, or just not even run a hood for a little while. Who knows? We'll figure it out then. But I'm trying to, like I said, make sure we have good exhaust, right? So if I come straight out here, it's kind of hard to show you guys while it wants to spin, which is super annoying, but it'll come straight out, right? So as you can see, it's below the fender, it's below the hood, and what we'll do is we'll just follow this tube right here, make a nice little tab to hold the exhaust. Since it's aluminum, we'll cut all this out and go through the fender down there. So that'll work. Our inlet or outlet of the turbo will work. The like the inlet of the turbo, not really a big deal. Oil drain and feed, not a big deal again. But the big deal would be obviously trying to get the flange to line up. So we'll definitely have to cut it. I think we're gonna have to cut more than I thought. Or yeah, we're definitely gonna have to cut more than I thought. We might actually have to redo this wastegate now that I think of it and look at it, because we can do this, and that is pretty close to being level with that. So we might just ditch this setup here, right? Just scrap this. We'll just redo this whole section of the hot side, and we'll just come straight out this way into the turbo. And then we'll put our wastegate right on the bend, so we'll just put it a little bit higher up. It'll still clear everything, which will be nice. And this side we'll cut probably right here. Try to cut as straight as we can. Cut it flat on the flange and just run it up with new pieces. So we have plenty of extra to work with. So yeah, we'll definitely have to give it a shot and see what we can come up with, because this is probably the most difficult part, I think, of the build, is trying to mount the turbo in a good spot where it's serviceable. We can go bigger in the same spot. We don't have to change the hot side much, as in just a new flange, which is not a big deal, but we would have to change the entire hot side. So that might be what we have to do later down the road, or if we do twins or whatever, not a big deal. But we're gonna try to make it work with what we have. That way we're not spending extra money. That way we can buy trans and all the other stuff that we need to get this thing running. All right guys, so it started raining super hard, so I closed the garage door. I'm gonna call it quits for tonight. But yeah, so here's our, probably gonna be where the turbo is gonna be sitting and living, which is not a bad area, but mainly because this is the short side, this is the pain in the butt side. So minimal change to that. We'll have to get a new flange, which is not a big deal. Longer side, the driver's side, will work it will work as well. Going to a new flange, not a big deal. And once we upgrade to a bigger turbo, we're probably just gonna ditch this entire hot side and just start from scratch, because for whatever reason, our stainless header's slip joint, I'm pretty sure this is never coming apart again. And I really don't know why we had such an issue with this. I mean, I called them and I asked them how they do it. and I did exactly what they said, and for it's still warped or something, and it just doesn't come apart, and it doesn't go back together very nice like a slip joint should. And it's a double slip joint, so I know it's not like in and out super easy, but it is very forceful to get that thing to sit in there, which is probably not ideal. So when we go to a bigger turbo, we'll just redo the entire hot side and probably not use a stainless headers double slip joint. Probably use a Vibrant one. I think there's another brand out there as well, but that's down the road obviously. But this is gonna work for now. I know it's not the most attractive thing to look at, right? Just kind of a wonky little setup, but it clears the tire. We'll run a nice little 90 straight up and out with a little wideband on it. Short side. Driver's side will go right there. We don't have to change any of the wastegate stuff that we've already done, which is kind of nice. So it should be a simpler process than I thought, which is kind of relieving, even though it's going to be mad ugly and yeah, it's just really going to be not attractive at all. All right, so I'm going to call it quits for tonight. We're going to be waiting on a new flange, so we'll redo the hot side, a portion of it. It's really exciting that we got the intake manifold and we can button up some final systems, get into wiring the car more seriously, as in the entire car. As you guys already saw, we started it, but we can kind of stop just to wait on some other things to come in. So it's really exciting. So like always, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. We'll see you in the next episode.